Hello and welcome, Chef Pennington here. Today we're going to be making fresh homemade pasta. We're going to use all the techniques. You guys are going to know exactly what you need to know. You guys are going to be masters by the end of this video. We're going to cover all the areas that matter so much. If this is your first time visiting, please subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we post new content. Always take requests too. So here's what to expect. Here's what we're going to learn today. How the weight affects the recipe, working the dough, developing the gluten, which is really important, using a pasta machine, and of course, cooking the pasta, which is not as straightforward as it might seem. So about the weight, this is weighed out 8 ounces. A lot of recipes do call for that metric. Overseas, the United States, we usually use a cup. So here's a cup. So 8 ounces is a cup. And look how much difference these two are. You can see in the bowl right there, that looks like a ton more flour. So when you're reading a recipe, if it says 1 cup, that's going to be okay. If it says 8 ounces, 1 cup is not going to substitute for that recipe. So now y'all know. So semolina, which is durum flour, is often used, like in Italy. So I just wanted to show you the difference here between the all-purposes. So we're going to take 4 eggs in this recipe, and this time we're going to use a food processor. Now I'm going to show you the classic way too in just a moment, but this has become very popular these days. So you're going to get both cups. This is the recipe where we're using just the cups, and we're going to get around a teaspoon in there, and we're going to add some olive oil. And we're going to bring in our eggs one at a time. So what I'm doing there is I'm pulsing it, trying to get everything blent together because there is 2 types of flours in there. So we're getting a head start there. And as usual, one at a time. Now notice in the food processor, you're going to see how it comes together for you. And particularly after the 4th egg goes in, you're going to see this ball that kind of develops. And this is actually starting the development of the gluten. The gluten's what makes it all hold together. That's that toothsomeness that you like. That's a hard one to say. Toothsomeness that we enjoy in our pasta. So here's the old world. It's called the well method. You've probably seen this on TV before. Now there is a little bit of technique here that, see like right down there where I've got the little arrow, we're going to keep most of the flour over there. It's kind of like our bench flour. It's like when we need to pull more in, that's where we're going to get it from. It's like our reserve. We don't want to use all the flour if we don't have to. We're going to let the flour hydrate essentially through the eggs, and we're going to start pulling in the flour, and then we're going to start working it. So we're getting at least the olive oil in there. That brings a little extra flavor, and then this is a chance to give it just a little bit of salt, certainly, and we're going to start pulling in the flour little by little. And like I said, the goal is to not use all the flour, and it's going to tell you what you need, and that's the beauty of making old world style. They didn't really have to even measure. They just put a bunch of flour down, got some eggs in there, and went to town. They usually could just tell by looking at it how much they need, and that's pretty cool because they're masters. Actually, pasta came from China. We didn't get it from Italy. Very interesting little fact there. But China's been around for a very long time. So this dough is just starting to come together. So we're being very gentle here. We're just bringing in a little bit of flour, little by need, just little by little, and it's going to come together. And then once it's together, we know. And it's going to be a little bit tacky. It's not going to be like sticky wet. You can see right there it's moist, but it's not dry because we put too much flour into it. All right, now we're going to get it onto the bench. A little bit of flour like that, the French call that sanjang. Learned that in culinary school. It actually means the monkey. So I don't even know why they came up with that, but that's sanjang. Maybe somebody might know more of where that came from. Leave a comment below. So to start out, we're just going to bring it together, and then we're going to give it just about 2-3 minutes. We're going to let it relax just for a moment before we start our kneading process. And the kneading is the most important part of it, and having some skill is going to make it a lot easier, and that's what I'm about to show you right here. So we're going to start by rolling it out very aggressively, you could say, using the palms of my hands. So it's almost like a pause there at the end, and then what's on the top becomes the back. So all the way out, and then I'm flipping it essentially on top of itself. You'll see right here, and then pushing it back forward. So it's a labor of love, but the end result is just amazing. So here's the second one. Now my right hand's really driving, the left is just there supporting, and then we're rolling, we're grabbing the top front area and bring it back underneath. You'll be able to see it here in a second, just a little bit better. See right there how we're pulling it back under and then pushing forward. So it's really the right arm that's doing it. The left hand is like the supporting power into this. So it's going to take between 8 and 12 minutes to correctly develop the gluten. So it's truly a labor of love. And then it has that little bit of elasticity. When I poked in it, it wanted to come back. So this is called the window pane test. We're trying to get it pretty flat, boom, 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 And you just start slowly turning it and pulling a little bitty bit back. This is showing us how much gluten have we really developed. And it will eventually rip. But see how that's a pretty good stretch? That's how I know that my pasta is going to work out, and I'm going to be able to actually put it into a pasta machine and crank it out. Sometimes people don't work the dough enough, and when they go to try to use the pasta machine, it doesn't happen. So that's the trick, using that window pane test. That's going to be a lifesaver for y'all. So wrap it, don't put it in a plastic bag, let it breathe just a little bit, put it onto a plate in the refrigerator, let it chill for like 20 to 30 minutes. The gluten needs to relax. So I cut off a piece right here after we took it out of the refrigerator. We need to flour it a little bit. That's important because we don't want it to get stuck in the machine. And we're going to start on setting number 1. Very important. Now, you might think we just go through all the numbers. That's not how it works. This is very important to use this technique. So we're going to start out, going to go through it one time, and then we're going to go through it again. We're going to fold it back over on top of itself. What we're doing is we're essentially shaping the pasta. When we're done, it's going to be a perfect sheet, the full width of that pasta machine. So we're doing this 3 times here, which is very important. 3. If you want to go 4, go for it. That's not going to be a problem. Every time it goes through the pasta machine, it's like kneading the dough again. It's developing a little more gluten every single time we do it. And you can go a number of different ways. I like going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I go all the way through it. Some people like to go 1, 3, 5, 7. That's actually why I learned it in culinary school. But I like doing each and every one because you can really tell how thick the pasta is. So there's 7. And you'll see here we do have a nice sheet that is the width of the machine. And the reason this works, once again, is the gluten. The fact that we kneaded the dough very appropriately. And that's going to be the key to success. That's where a lot of people have a problem when they make pasta. So get a little flour on a tray, crank it all the way through. Here's something that the Italians truly believe in, is that you don't cut the pasta. You don't, like, even when you have fresh like spaghetti, you don't crack it in half and then put it in the pot. That's considered sacrilege when it comes to pasta. So there's something y'all learned probably. So here we go, cooking it. Salted water, it is boiling. Right there, I'm just trying to get everything loose, looking for any pieces that might be kind of stuck together. It happens. You can usually pull them on apart, no problem. So here's the thing with fresh pasta. It doesn't take very long to cook. Some people will say like 45 seconds. I'm telling you it's about 90 seconds. Now, one of the ways to test is, of course, pull it out and test it. It'll taste. But you can also cut it in half and look down the piece of pasta. And you can see if it's cooked through. If it's not, you can see the raw flour right in the middle. So that's a cool little trick. You have to marry the pasta with the sauce. You don't put it on the plate or even put olive oil and let it hang out on the side. Let it have a little bit of sauce. That's what it wants. It wants to drink it up. Please join us on social media. Here's some other posts that you guys might be interested in. Please subscribe today. We'd love to have you all around, and y'all have the best.